Previously on Omniscient Reader Explained, the world of 3 ways to survive the apocalypse was unfolding before Doctor's eyes and the first scenario was underway. Everyone in the train cabin had to kill a living organism to survive. Doctor killed insects and unlocked his exclusive skills, Omniscient Reader's Viewpoint, and character profile. Doctor fought against Namru Kim, who ultimately died due to failing to complete the scenario. The Dokkaebi reappeared, fascinated at the mess that had been made in the train cabin. The first main scenario had now been completed and the survivors were listed. Hyunsung Lee, Sang Yu, Gil-yong Lee, Younger Han, and Dr. Kim. Doctor stared at Namru Kim's lifeless body and remembered his desperate pleas to survive. At that moment, he realized that Namru Kim was right. Doctor was just like him, and could have saved all those people that had died. He would be lying if he said he didn't feel guilty. But even through all of this, he thought it to be strange that he was able to remain so calm. It felt to him as though he was still a reader and not actively partaking in it. A message appeared. You slaughtered 124 living organisms. Due to killing non-resistant organisms, the number of coins you obtained has been halved. You have obtained 6,200 coins. The coins you used to level up your stats will be deducted. You have obtained 3,500 coins. You have unlocked the achievement Decimated due to excessive slaughtering. You have obtained 300 coins as a basic clear reward. 100 coins have been deducted for the channel usage fee. Additional rewards will be calculated. The train started to move once more and the light seeped into the cabin. The world they had once known had collapsed and a new world was in the making, and Doctor was the only reader who knew how the world was going to end. Mr. Han and Sanger looked out the window to see a giant sea monster. Mr. Han started to scream and exclaimed that it was coming for them. Doctor knew this creature. It was called an ichthyosaur, also known as a sea serpent. Later on, it would be classified as a grade 7 monster in TWSA. Doctor wasn't scared by its appearance. He knew that the world of TWSA prioritizes scenarios over anything else. This means that they wouldn't be attacked by the monster as it was not a part of the story. Doctor looked to the sky and counted the stars. There were 21 in total. No wonder he's so happy, said Doctor. These stars represent the amount of constellations who were watching the channel. Constellations were described to be the most mysterious creatures in the world of TWSA, the masterminds behind the tragedy, the viewers of the Dokkaebi's livestreams. Doctor noted that in the original story, Namru Kim had killed almost everyone in the cabin. Due to the death of Namru Kim, 2 constellations feel slightly hostile towards you. Doctor knew that some constellations must be furious about the outcome, and because of his interference, there was also a delay in his payment. Doctor thought about how unbelievable his situation was. Just the other day, he was in their position, but now they were the ones who were watching him. A few constellations are impressed with your scenario. The constellations have gifted you 500 coins. Doctor knew all too well. If there were constellations that hated him, there would also be those who support him. Doctor, are you okay? Said Sanger. Sanger rushed over to Doctor and offered her hand to help him off the ground. I'm sorry, I couldn't save the old lady, said Doctor. Sanger questioned Doctor's calmness and thanked him for earlier. She was only alive because Doctor had thrown the container towards her and she was lucky enough to pick up an insect. Doctor brushed off her thanks. It was just a coincidence, Doctor said. It won't happen again. Doctor didn't know exactly what she was thinking, but she probably understood what he had said. Because of Doctor's choice, some lived and some died. He didn't deserve the gratitude of the survivors. Suddenly, the Dokkaebi reappeared and congratulated the survivors in a cheerful manner. Oh my! Thank you for the sponsorships, dear Constellations. I can't believe there are 21 Constellations watching my channel. Doctor noted that there were 5 survivors, much more than he thought there would be. He had expected Hyunsung Lee to survive at the very least, but was unsure about the others. Doctor turned his head towards a young kid, the same one who had been holding the container full of insects. Gil-yong Lee. That must be his name, Doctor thought. Doctor put his hand on Gil-yong's shoulder and asked, Hey kid, do you want to live? The kid didn't speak but simply nodded. Then let's team up. A few constellations are impressed with your good deed. The constellations have gifted you 200 coins. Doctor knew what was going to happen next, and if he wanted to survive, he needed the attention of the constellations. The Dokkaebi commented on how interesting of a day it had been and mentioned that the guy in the next cabin was a total nutcase. Then, are you gonna let us go now? Asked Mr. Han. We did everything you asked for! The Dokkaebi thought for a moment and questioned why Mr. Han would want to leave in the first place. Haven't you seen what's going on outside? At the moment, the ichthyosaur outside roared, causing Mr. Han to back away from the Dokkaebi in fear. Anyways, I'm impressed, said the Dokkaebi. I didn't have any expectations for this cabin, but you all survived the first scenario. You have proven that even bugs desire to survive. The Dokkaebi smiled. Of course, every hardship deserves a reward. The reward for the first scenario is that you are now qualified to be sponsored by the Constellations. No one knew what he was talking about. No one except for Doctor knew what a constellation or sponsor was. The Dokkaebi explained. All of you are so terribly weak right now. If you were to just move on to the next scenario in this state, you would be killed by a weak ground rat, let alone a croc. But there are great beings in this world who pity you and wish to sponsor you. Do you understand? Still, no one in the cabin seemed to understand. The Dokkaebi, still annoyed, snapped his fingers so everyone could see for themselves. Panels appeared in front of everyone. Sponsor selection. Select a constellation. The selected constellation will be your reliable sponsor. Doctor noted he had 4 options. Abyssal Black Flame Dragon, Demonic Judge of Fire, Secretive Plotter, and Prisoner of the Golden Headband. Doctor, Two strange options suddenly popped up. Doctor lied to Sanger and said that he didn't know anything either and that she should treat it like an aptitude test. He noted that Sanger was lucky for having two options. At this point, most people wouldn't even have one. The sponsor selection was one of the main events in TWSA. It is the system in which the Constellations watch them through the Dokubi's channels and pick a human they like as their incarnation and sponsor them. In Doctor's case, there were 4 Constellations who wanted to sponsor him as their incarnation. Doctor was happy for his 4 options as the protagonist originally only had 5 options, so 4 wasn't a small number at all. Constellations of TWSA never revealed their true names. It was up to Doctor and the others to deduce it for themselves using their nicknames as hints. But Doctor already knew their identities because he was a reader. First constellation was the Abyssal Black Flame Dragon. He was a powerful constellation that leads the constellation group Black Cloud. Doctor noted that his true name was quite long and couldn't remember it. Considering that certain constellations could increase stats and the Abyssal Black Flame Dragon improved stamina and strength, it would be wise for Doctor to select him as a sponsor. But that was where the benefits ended. The more a constellation's power was used, the more the user lost their senses. In the end, an incarnation of the Abyssal Black Flame Dragon would become a psychotic killer, and this made him a particularly powerful sponsor for those with the Edgelord attribute. Doctor noted that in the original novel, he had chosen Namu Kim as his incarnation, but why had he chose Doctor? Doctor was unsure about choosing him, so he moved on to the next constellation of his list, Demonic Judge of Fire. Just from the name, one might assume the sponsor to be a demon, but ironically, the nickname Demonic meant the constellation wasn't a demon. The words Fire and Judge indicate that this entity makes judgment through fire. That means that she's actually Archangel Uriel. Doctor noted that she wasn't a bad choice, but he would first explore the other options. The third on his list was a constellation Doctor didn't know, Secret of Flutter, a constellation that had never once been mentioned in TWSA. Doctor was certain it was not a powerful being and so decided to move on. Prisoner of the Golden Headband. Doctor couldn't believe that this constellation had already made an offer. Whilst its name may sound negative at first, the proper noun was what was important. Golden Headband was the smallest prison in the world, and the prisoner was none other than the great sage, Heaven's equal, Sung Wukong. Doctor remembered an excerpt from the novel about a character who had this constellation as their sponsor.
He has the power to crush hundreds of incarnations with his staff, and eradicating thousands of monsters with a single lightning bolt.
Doctor knew that if he chose the Great Sage as his sponsor, then he could surely beat him. At that moment, the sponsor selection ended. The Dokubi asked if everyone was done and mentioned that someone had made an interesting choice. Since everyone was now done in selecting the scenarios, the Dokubi said he would now prepare for the upcoming scenario. See you in 10 minutes! With that, the Dokubi disappeared. Everyone, please gather around, said Doctor holding out his hand. I'm Hyungsung Lee, Dr. Kim. They shook hands. Hyungsung Lee told Doctor that it was nice to meet him and told Doctor what he had already known. Doctor took notice of his grip during the handshake. It was strong, but Doctor wasn't surprised. After all, he was a tanker in the earlier stages of TWSA. For this reason, he needed to recruit Hyungsung Lee. Hyungsung Lee thanked Doctor. If it wasn't for Doctor, they would all be dead by now. He mentioned that even if they had survived through that method, then he didn't think they would have deserved to live as humans. A hand grabbed Doctor's shoulder. Doctor, you know who I am, right? It was Myung-go Han. Myung-go Han corrected Doctor. You should call me Mr. Han. But Doctor wasn't at work anymore. He didn't have to. Myung-go Han criticized Doctor and asked if he was no longer going to work. Shut up, Myung-go Han. He froze up and only got angrier. Doctor explained to Myung-go Han that Minosoft, the company that they had worked at, no longer existed, and conveyed the severity of their situation. Hyungsung Lee mentioned that it was the kind of thing that he read about in novels and couldn't believe it was now real. He asked if it was a dream, but Doctor only told him what should have been obvious. It was reality. So what now? Do you have any ideas, Doctor? Hyungsung Lee has started to trust you. Your understanding of Hyungsung Lee has increased. We have to get out of here, Doctor said. Outside the window, the ichthyosaur roared. Are you out of your mind? Said Hyungsung Lee. Doctor, I think that's a bit... If we leave, we're gonna get killed, said Sanger. Everyone seemed to be against it. At that moment, someone slammed on the door behind. Doctor knew that the person on the other side of the door was the sole survivor of Subway Cabin 3707, and to him, it was quite obvious who that was. He's coming, Doctor thought. The true protagonist of the story. We have to get out of here. If we don't leave right now, we're all going to die before the next scenario. Banging on the door continued. Doctor, we can't be sure that whatever is on the other side of that door is the enemy. If Doctor hadn't read TWSA, he too might have believed that. But he knew that beyond the door was someone that he didn't want to mess with just yet. He's a survivor who killed all those people in his cabin. Do you still want to meet him? Hyungsung switched up immediately. We need to find a way out of here. The door was broken and wouldn't budge. They had to find another door. It was now or never. The banging on the door continued and got louder and louder and louder. Sanger yelled to Doctor, over here! Doctor tried to open the door, but that was broken too. However, it was their only choice. The only door that they would ever have the slightest chance at opening. Doctor noted that he could use his coins to increase his strength like he had last time. But who knows what could happen if he recklessly used them. Hyungsung, use your skill. What? Doctor activated the character profile and recognized the supporting constellation as the same in the novel. He needed Hyungsung to use his Sigma, Great Mountain Push, but couldn't call it a Sigma as he would appear to know too much. There must be a skill you can use right now. Well, I do have one, but I don't know how to use it. Just imagine yourself using it, shouted Doctor. Hyung-sung shouted and pushed open the door, his body glowing green. It worked! It really worked! Hyung-sung Lee has begun to trust you. Your understanding of Hyung-sung Lee has increased. Doctor noted that the door to the cabin would break soon, but if his memory was right, the door wasn't the problem. The doctor appeared once more in front of them. Gosh, I knew this would happen. I told you earlier to stay put. Han Myung-go, scared that he was to be killed, grasped his head and said that he knew that they should have stayed inside. I guess I have no other choice. You're very lucky, human beings. The second scenario has arrived. Sub-scenario escape. Get across the collapsed bridge and enter Oksu Station. Time limit 20 minutes. Sanger shouted out to Doctor. Something doesn't feel right. It says collapsed bridge, but the bridge isn't. Don't worry about it, just run. Hurry! Sanger was right. The bridge was still intact because they had gotten off the train too early. In other words, the bridge would definitely collapse. They were going to cut it close, but it would seem like they would make it. At the base of the bridge, a whirlpool formed and Ichthyosaur appeared. But it wasn't just an ordinary Ichthyosaur. It was a sea commander. It opened its jaws and began to attack the bridge. There was only about 200 yards left. Doctor was sure that they would be able to cross the bridge before it collapses. It's not fun if the game is too easy. The Doctor reappeared. Let's shake things up a bit. He snapped his fingers. The difficulty of the scenario has been adjusted. The evil thoughts of the dead have returned. Black ether is rising from the surrounding earth. The dead bodies began to rise. Zombies! Exclaimed Sanger. Demonic beings have now been resurrected. Hyung-sung Lee and Gil-young Lee made it across the bridge. It was now just Doctor, Sanger, and Myung-go left. The sea commander bit into the bridge and it collapsed. Now what? Doctor thought. Suddenly a message appeared. Someone has received the blessing of a constellation. The constellation's blessing has activated Deus Ex Machina in this scenario. A bridge of light materialized, connecting the two sides of the now broken bridge. Doctor was in disbelief. Deus Ex Machina was a power that allowed a constellation to intervene at a great cost. In this case, it came in the form of a bridge that anyone could cross so long as an even number of people were walking on it. Was it Sanger's supporting constellation who did this? Doctor wondered who a supporting constellation could be an activated character profile. This person's profile cannot be browsed using character profile. This character does not have a registered character profile. Doctor was in disbelief. Why couldn't you view her profile? Perhaps she had a special supporting constellation or maybe the mental barrier skill, but both were very unlikely at this point in time. Behind you! Sanger screamed. A fist collided with Doctor's head, sending him tumbling to the ground. The creature that had hit him was a tier 9 humanoid demon, a mutant creature inflicted by the black ether. They were once human and no different to zombies. Doctor noted that they are usually weak but can be powerful if their host happens to be someone strong. And of all people who Doctor had to fight, it was none other than him, Narum Kim. Doctor tried to activate the first level of Omniscient Reader's Viewpoint, but he was unable to as the character no longer possessed the consciousness. He knew this would happen. He couldn't fight, so all he could do was prioritize getting to the bridge. However, there were 3 of them. Someone would have to stay behind and die. Before Doctor could make a decision, younger Han had already picked up Sanger and started to cross the bridge. Doctor was the one who was left behind. The Constellation's secretive plotter is impressed by your foolishness. The Constellation demonic judge of fire is touched by your selflessness. You have been gifted 100 coins. Doctor noted Myung-go Han walking funny and tried to activate character profile, but was unable to do so. He noted that if he remembered correctly, then Myung-go was using a stigma that belonged to the Constellation, Limping Trickster, someone who does not give incarnations access to the mental barrier stigma. That means that there was no way Myung-go could have that skill. At this point, it is also revealed what stigma is. Special power endowed to incarnations by their constellations. How hadn't Doctor realized it earlier? The reason why Doctor's character profile hadn't worked on Sanger or Myung-go was because they weren't characters from TWSA. Doctor was now stuck on the bridge alone, and grabbing a demon to come with him wouldn't work. He now only had 15 minutes left. The Dokkaebi appeared and pitied Doctor, asking if any constellations wanted to bless him so he could survive, but none responded. Doctor couldn't hold out anymore. If he had just one combat skill, then maybe he could survive. Personal skill. Bookmark activated. Activating character bookmarks. Available bookmark slots, 3. Loading the list of characters that can be activated. List of bookmark characters. 1. Delusional Demon Namun Kim, understanding 25. 2. Steelblade Hyung-sung Lee, understanding 35. Doctor had read over 3,000 chapters of TWSA but had never once heard of this skill, but he immediately knew how it worked. Activate bookmark number 1. Memories of Namun Kim flooded through his mind. Activating bookmark number 1. The activation time has been shortened due to low level of the bookmark skill. Activation time 1 minute. Your understanding of the character is low, so the character's skills were only partially activated. Activating Grimdark Awakening level 1. A purple aura enveloped Doctor's fist as he began to mimic Namun Kim's movements on the train, effortlessly fighting off many of the demons in his path and eventually killing the one who gave him the skill in the first place, Namun Kim. As the zombified body of Namun Kim dropped to the floor, he exclaimed that he didn't want to die. Your understanding of Namun Kim has increased. Deactivating bookmark number 1. Time remaining, 10 minutes 11 seconds. Suddenly there was an explosion in the distance and zombies flew into the air, clearing a path towards Doctor. An ominous man walked towards Doctor wearing all black with his head tilted down. Who the hell are you? He asked. Doctor knew he didn't stand a chance against this guy. Character profile. There's too much information about this character. Convert a character profile to character summary. Name, Jeonyeok Yu. Attributes: the Regressor 3rd round, Pro Gamer, Rare. Personal skill: Eye of the Sage level 8, Close Combat level 8, Weapons Proficiency level 8, Mental Barrier level 5, Crowd Control level 5, Reasoning level 5, Lie Detection. The man grabbed Doksha by the neck and picked him up.
How are you still alive?
He asked. The man was Jong-Yuk-Yu, the Regressor and main protagonist of 3 Ways to Survive the Apocalypse. Meanwhile, Hyung-Sung Lee attempted to observe Doksha but was obscured by a barrier similar to the one on the subway. Sanger thought about Doksha, worried, hoping that he was okay. Back on the other side of the bridge, Doksha was in Jong-Yuk's grasp, hovering over the edge of the bridge.
Name. What is your name?
Asked Jong-Yuk.
He's so full of himself.
Doksha thought.
He's definitely acting like the protagonist. Doksha Kim. What a strange name. I get that a lot.
Jong-Yuk slammed a fist into Doksha's stomach.
You have a strong body. I see you figured out how to use the coins.
Doksha noted that Jong-Yuk was already so strong, and even so after just one mission.
Don't waste your breath. Just answer the questions I ask you, got it?
Doksha was hoping that this wouldn't happen. He remembered that in the early chapters of TWSA, Jong-Yuk was the most dangerous character. He was a regressor, someone with the power to restart from the beginning every time they died, and by now, his 3rd regression, he had already lost his humanity. Doksha noted that Jong-Yuk, who he is now facing, would never hesitate to do what it takes to get what he wants.
Well?
Asked Jong-Yuk.
Fine, but show me some respect.
Replied Doksha.
Why should I?
Doksha received another punch to the gut, but this time stopped it with his hands.
Sorry, but you're younger than me, pro gamer Jong-Yuk-Yu, so you're the one who should be showing me some respect.
Jong-Yuk-Yu has become cautious of you.
Do you know who I am? Of course, I work for a game company.
Doksha knew that that was a lie. Up until now, Jong-Yuk hadn't even existed.
You're pretty famous. I used to be a fan of yours.
Jong-Yuk's fame was just a setting in the novel, but when Doksha claimed to be a fan, he wasn't lying. Throughout the 3,000 chapter long journey, Doksha liked him, hated him, resented him, and cheered for him.
A fan? I haven't heard that in a while. I'll forgive you for your impudence, but that won't change anything. I can see that. I have one question for you. How did you survive the subway?
Doksha knew that he would ask this.
If I tell you, will you let me live? Asked Doksha. That depends on your answer.
Doksha knew he was lying. He could tell just by looking at his face. He needed something to say and quick if he wanted to live. Your understanding of Jong-Yuk-Yu has increased. You already have high understanding of this character. You have unlocked level 2 of your personal skill, Omniscient Viewpoint. Activate your personal skill. As it activated, Doksha became able to read Jong-Yuk's thoughts. Jong-Yuk wondered why it was that Doksha survived. After all, in the world he knew, only Hyung-Sung Lee and Namroon Kim were supposed to survive. He needed information of just who Doksha was, and if he deemed the man as a threat, then he would kill him.
How I managed to survive is, you killed the scenario by killing insects. I was lucky. I was able to spot the kid with insects because he fell due to an explosion in the car in front of us.
Jong-Yuk thought about how his future had changed. In the world he knew, there was supposed to be a battle to the death in subway car 3807, and only Namroon Kim and Hyung-Sung Lee should have survived. Jong-Yuk wondered if he caused this, if it was because he had started killing with explosions unlike previous runs. But even still, Jong-Yuk thought that something wasn't right. Doksha was too calm for a newbie. He deducted that Doksha must have been behind the death of Namroon Kim and decided that Doksha was dangerous.
If you're done with your questions, can you let me go? Let's move on to Oksu Station together. We're running out of time. Not so fast. Everything fixed too perfectly.
Jong-Yuk activated his double S-grade skill, Eye of the Sage, a skill that allowed him to view someone's attribute window and hidden information. As far as Doksha knew, it was the highest grade detection skill.
Maybe this is for the best.
Doksha thought. After all, he didn't know what attributes or skills he had. If Jong-Yuk found out, then he could too. Personal skill 4th wall activated. The 4th wall has detected the detection of the Eye of the Sage. Blue electricity shocked Jong-Yuk's eye and he groaned. Personal skill, the 4th wall has blocked the Eye of the Sage.
You... What are you?
Doksha couldn't believe it. He had a skill that could block Eye of the Sage.
I have to kill him here and now.
Jong-Yuk thought. Doksha's skill had now complicated things. He had to change up his game plan if he wanted to survive.
You need a trustworthy ally. You can't clear scenario 46 on your own. You know that, right?
He shouted. Jong-Yuk paused for a moment.
How did you know that? Are you also a regressor?
Asked Jong-Yuk.
What matters now isn't who I am. What's important is that I can be useful to you.
Jong-Yuk knew he wasn't a regressor. If he was, then Jong-Yuk would have already known.
Jong-Yuk, I know the future that you don't know.
Jong-Yuk has activated the lie detection skill. The lie detection skill has verified that you are telling the truth. Jong-Yuk was in disbelief.
Could it be? There's another prophet other than Anna Croft in Korea?
Prophet was the only attribute in TWSA which allowed one to view the future. As far as Doksha knew, there was only one prophet in the entire story, that being the American Anna Croft.
By any chance, are you able to use future sight?
Asked Jong-Yuk.
Something like that.
Replied Doksha.
So you knew I would be here? Asked Jong-Yuk. Yes. Jong-Yuk, I know you have a special power. You also know what's going to happen in the future, right? But you also know that your knowledge of the future is incomplete.
Doksha noted that regressors only knew the future because they had repeated their lives several times over. But if they acted on the information they knew, then their future would change drastically. Eventually, all regressors would reach a future that they didn't know.
Make me your companion and I can complete your knowledge of the future.
Jong-Yuk began to consider the proposition. If Doksha really was a prophet, then it would be helpful to bring him along. But could he trust him?
I've made up my mind. I'll make you my companion.
40 seconds remaining until the end of the scenario. Jong-Yuk once again picked up Doksha by his collar and carried him elsewhere.
Wait, can you let...
As they began to cross the bridge, Doksha's ability deactivated due to excessive concentration. At that moment, Jong-Yuk stopped.
One last question. If you really are a prophet, you'd be able to tell your own future, right?
He picked up Doksha and carried him over to the edge of the bridge, just above the Sea Commander's jaws.
Will I be letting go or not?
If this was really the same Jeonhyuk he had read of, then he knew what Jeonhyuk would do.
Let me tell you a couple of things first. First, I'm not your lackey, so treat me as your equal. Second, just as I cooperate with you, you have to promise to cooperate with me. I see. So your answer? Just let go and get lost, you bastard.
Jeonhyuk let go of Doksha and he fell right into the mouth of the Sea Commander. As he was falling, Jeonhyuk commented him on his foretelling.
You really are a prophet.
With that, Doksha took his final look at Jeonhyuk.
That bastard.
The mouth of the Sea Commander closed.
You have failed the scenario.
Thanks so much for watching the video. I hope I explained the second episode well enough. These first 3 episodes are all releasing at once and this has been a long process in the making. I hope you all liked the video. As always, I'm always open to feedback if I missed anything important, but in that case, I would also recommend you all to